Welcome to Rototuna Physio, it's Jo here. Today we're talking about one of my favourite subjects, which is running. The girls in the clinic and I do a lot of running and triathlon as well, so we know lots about running and we're really keen to help you and get you running. So people often say to me, I don't run because it's bad for you. Well, here are the health benefits for running. It prevents muscle and bone loss. It maintains a healthy body mass index, or it keeps your weight down basically. It helps us fight disease, so decreases the chance of stroke, osteoporosis, diabetes, cancers, particularly breast cancer, and also increases the strength of your heart. So running, they count as a vigorous exercise, so that's why it has all those benefits. It increases your immunity, so it stops getting colds and things in the winter time. Increases your good cholesterol, so that's HDL. Increases your self-image, helps with self-empowerment, because if you can run you can do anything. And it also helps to decrease stress and fatigue and gives you a clear mind. Unfortunately though, in any given year, the facts say that 20 to 80% of us who run will experience some sort of injury, and predominantly with your knee. And I think that's quite normal. People play rugby and they get injured, they play golf, they get a sore back. Part of being active is recognising that you will overload your tissues at some point, and it's getting on and fixing it early. So your tips for running well. The first thing is the 10% rule. So what we see lots is that patients come in, fall in love with running, run every day, no rest, and increase what they're doing too quickly. So the 10% rule tells us that in any given week we shouldn't be increasing our distance or our speed or the time that we spend running by any more than 10%. So if you start running 5Ks, then for that week the greatest you'll run is 5Ks. The following week you can increase it by 10%, so you'll be running 5.5Ks. Exactly the same with speed. So if you're running at 70% of your ability and you want to push it a little bit more, then 75 to 80% of your ability would be what you're running next week. So follow that 10% rule, and that gives our tendons and joints time to adapt to what you're wanting them to do. So running injuries they're not ACL ruptures or disc prolapses. They're injuries that we get from cumulative load, from just not giving our tissues time to repair. So always remember the 10% rule when it comes to running. The second thing, and we've touched on it lightly, is that you need to rest. So when we run, we overload our joints and our tissues and our ligaments. They then need a day or some time to recover. So they get the message from you that, hey, this person wants to run, therefore I need to be stronger. But that takes time, so they take time and rest. And when they do rest, they are repairing and they're building themselves up and making them stronger, so that next time you run, they can cope with it a little bit more. So often when you're starting running, a day on, a day off is a good policy. Otherwise, for most runners, 5 days a week is plenty. The third thing is to get a good pair of shoes. So go to your local sports store, let them put you on a treadmill, have a look at the way you run, the way you land, and get the correct pair of shoes for you, not just the ones that look pretty. The fourth thing to think about is to run at a comfortable pace. So running should be enjoyable, and you should be running at a pace that you can have a conversation with someone, that your shoulders are staying nice and relaxed. So a big mistake is to get out there and run as hard as you can for as long as you can. So pace yourself. If you're running for 10, 15, 20 minutes, run at a pace that you know that you can get to the end of that run doing. Keep your shoulders nice and relaxed, keep your breathing nice and relaxed. All your air should be coming into the base of your lung and not to the top, so none of this sort of business. The next thing you can do that's really helpful and really beneficial is to use what we call a foam roller. So this is what we call a foam roller here, and it's basically, this is an OB brand, but there's lots of different brands that you can get, and it's basically a tool you use at home to massage with. So wherever you get your foam roller from, they should give you a brochure with it that has a way of massaging your glute muscles, your quads, down either side and down either side of your leg, and also for your back as well. And the final things we're going to talk about is the way in which you land, the way in which you run, sorry. So we're going to talk about keeping nice strong hips and also landing under your centre of gravity. So when we're running, when you put your heel hits the ground, we call that heel strike, and that's where you get 3 times your body weight going through you as your heel comes in contact with the ground. And that's where most of our injuries happen. So it's in that deceleration you bring your foot through and then you plant to the ground. So what we want to see happening when you land is that if you can land under your centre of gravity, so when we say that your heel strike is just under your hip bone, then you reduce that load significantly. So as you're landing with your running, you're landing under your centre of gravity and coming through. So when you're running, I guess try and think of having a bit of a forward lean on and then landing under your centre of gravity there. So you may just shorten your stride length to achieve this. The second thing we want to look at when we're looking at the way you're running is that often if your hips aren't strong enough, as you land, you get an internal rotation or a caving in of the foot, of the leg. So you'll see that if you land, if your hips don't hold you neutral, you internally rotate from your hip joint, your knee starts to point inwards and your foot starts to fall inwards. So the way to counteract that is to keep good, strong hip joints. Look, you may have seen this in some of my other videos, but there's a clinic over in Canada that specialises in running injuries, and they've looked at injuries particularly to do with the knee in female runners, and they've come up with one simple exercise that reduced 90% of the runners' pain within 4 to 6 weeks. So all they get you doing is get a bicycle tube, well this is TheraBand that you can get from any physio. Take your weight onto the foot that you're wanting to work, and then all you can do is pull your other leg out to the side. What you want to make sure that's happening is that you're not allowing yourself to fall out to the side. So you're maintaining your knee basically over your big toe, and you're doing 3 lots of 15 to 20. It's really important that you do it after a run and not before a run. You don't want to fatigue the muscle before you go and run on it. And then make sure you're doing it both sides. Thanks for listening to us today. We hope you've had some great tips for running. Hope it keeps you motivated and injury free. And remember to see us early if you do get any injuries. Thanks for listening.